Hello and welcome in the Women of Power podcast. I am Angie Miorin, in charge of communication for CCR Group. At CCR Group, we are committed to professional equality between women and men. Every year, International Women's Day is an opportunity to meet women leaders in our sector. In these discussions, we invite you to discover their journey, their experience, and their point of view on gender equality at work. We hope it will inspire you, encourage you to connect, and allow you to find keys to create a fairer and more equal society. In this episode, we have the pleasure to meet Megha Bansal. Hi Megha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
The pleasure is shared, Megha. Together, we will discuss women leadership, diversity, and inclusion. Because as we are convinced at CCR Group that being able to confront our point of views is a way to grow, I invited collaborators to join the conversation in each episode of this podcast season. We will meet them at the end of the interview for the last question. So now, let's begin with the first question. Megha, you are working for Aon's Reinsurance Solutions division, supporting global teams. What does your current role entail, and what sets you off on this career path?
Thank you. So as an associate director at Aon, my current role entails helping clients and markets. And for that, it means insurers and reinsurers, finding the right solutions for capital deployment, helping insurtechs in product development and capacity concerns. I believe hard work and grit can take one to their goals. When I was a little girl in school, all I wanted to do was study management without having a target of reaching XYZ company, earning XYZ amount of money in a month or a year. As a young girl, I joined McKinsey at the age of 20, and some of the beautiful accidents of shifting cities, being open and grabbing the opportunities as they land up in your plate, I picked up some insurance engagements at a very young age of probably 22, 23, traveled around the world delivering those engagements, and 13 years back landed at Aon, which was a blessing in disguise. Since then, the world of risk has opened umpteen opportunities for me from Asia's to Americas. That's about me in my current role, and look forward to sort of the next 20 years of my career.
Thank you for sharing, Megha. This is an impressive career. It must have taken a lot of courage and ambition to achieve all this, so congratulations.
Thank you.
As a woman, what obstacles and stereotypes have you had to overcome to thrive in your business and in the world of work in general?
I think the world of work or business is interlinked with your social engagements, and they're intertwined. I married off very young at the age of 24, became a mother at the age of 26, and then destiny had something else written for me. I was a single parent for almost 7 years. There were, of course, instances where I thought, life would come at a halt, but continued my grit and perseverance. There were instances where ex-manager thought I could not take international travel due to being a single parent. I could not take late hour calls. Being in India, US or America's time zones, and the clients there require a different rigor in terms of work-life balance. But I wouldn't phrase them as stereotypes. Probably they were minor hiccups or hesitations from the stakeholders that I worked with for initial few months. And I totally believe that it's up to the individual. And in this instance, it was up to me to steer my ship in the direction that I wanted to.
Thank you for sharing, Megha. What, in your view, can be done to promote women's access to management positions?
So I think there are various articles written on X percentage of women participation in management positions, name it HBR or Forbes or different sort of studies that come up with lower presentation or representation of women in various leadership forums. I would also totally agree to that. And despite of a 20-year strong career till date, I think those gaps have taken a huge change, but still a lot to do. And in my view, there are 3 critical stages in a woman's life which needs attention or which changes, how the world around a woman or their own thought process evolves. Number one, marriage. Number two, motherhood. And number three, which currently I am going through, is taking care of aging parents or in-laws or, some of the family members. Each of these stages has a different ask of time, different ask of financial planning, setting priorities right, or balancing work with growing set of responsibilities. I also believe that while an organization can provide n number of facilities, and you name it like excellent child or daycare, excellent mentoring facilities, I believe that women in particular have to take charge and create their own support circle to handle these as we grow older. When I listen to success stories of women leaders, most of them thank their families, their spouse or their better half, their friends, their bosses and colleagues. But many of them still tend to forget, the support system or the foundation because of which where at least I am where I am. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my domestic helps who frees up my morning. The train and the bus drivers or the Ubers and the Ola drivers who makes my commute easier and help me reach, critical client meetings on time. And therefore, believe in your own system, what works for you, and create a support system around it, right? So that's how I have built and navigated through in terms of building a structure around what works for me.
Yeah, it's true that everything is connected in our lives.
Very true.
What do you wish you had known at the start of your career, and what advice would you give to your younger self and to other women hoping to become the next generation of female leaders?
I think I'll start by saying that, the size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. Because if your dreams do not really scare you, I think they're not big enough. So believe in big dreams and chase those big dreams is the mantra that has worked for me. And I would always encourage young women to really believe in those big dreams. I started probably with a small dream when I was in school to study management, without having a clue of what really management really is. And applying all those theories in the books I read, I was an avid reader. I'm still a self-acclaimed artist, filling colors on canvases. And when I look at my 2-decade career journey so far, I'm pretty satisfied in what I've accomplished. So the piece of advice that I can give to women and young aspiring leaders is that you might not get all you want. But the good thing is that you don't even need all you want. Love the journey that you embark upon. Keep exploring what you like, what you don't like, and be as fluid as possible to embrace the ever-changing, as we say, the VUCA world.
This is very an inspiring speech that you give us today, Megha. I have the feeling sometimes that women and even people in general often forget the power of creativity. So thank you, Megha, to remind us this. Now, the fifth question. Mentoring is key for helping women increase their confidence and inspire the young generation. We are committed to help them on 2 topics, creativity and financial wisdom. Can you tell us more about it?
Absolutely. So I've been an art enthusiast probably since childhood, finding joy in those various color boxes. I take free art classes over the weekend and around 20 kids, from a 3-year-old to a 15-year-old. But for me, what I find the most exciting part is it's not just involving the kids into those exercises, but even their parents, and what we do is explore different mediums, different shapes, display their art on a biannual basis in our apartment of almost 1,000 flats. So that's what keeps me engaged over the weekend. The second aspect about financial wisdom. During my phase of single parent, I realized how important financial wisdom and financial planning is. My father is a chartered accountant, which means helping corporates take care of their accounts and income taxes. And right through my childhood, he kept sharing those little tips, those handy books or charters to sort of read through that how should I plan my first paycheck. And I have passed on some of these jewels, if I may call it, or pieces of advice to a group of domestic help, which is my support system. So helping those 10, 12 ladies or women in the apartment to start small, start saving probably 1,000, 2,000 rupees, help open their bank accounts as a guarantee or just as a signatory authority, because some of them don't even know how to read and write. These are the little things where I find joy and try to spend my weekends on.
Well, your solidarity to others is remarkable, Megha. So now we're going to welcome Vincent Gros. Hello, Vincent.
Hi, Angie. Hello, Megha, and thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us today. You are Secretary General of the CCR Group. I would like to ask you both a question. What concrete actions should leaders do to empower the next generation of female leaders?
Well, if I were a female general counsel, I would apply a mix of conviction and pragmatism. By conviction, gender equality is a fantastic opportunity for international organizations. We should use all levers, first of which being the talent management to source female employees. That is not always very easy, especially in our markets. For instance, I would make sure that there were a female in any shortlist of candidates. The second lever is to offer flexibility in time management. And for instance, I prohibit meetings before 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Simply because if we are well organized, we should not work late hours, as my day in New York City taught me. And finally, I would say to male employees, they should absolutely use their maternity leave, not only to support their wife, but also and much more to experience these very, very unique moments in a lifetime. So enjoy them.
Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, and I think very aptly put in terms of the three phases that I see a woman's life. And I think Vincent's response was pretty much apt to all those three aspects where so there is no denying in preparing the next gen female leaders, right from including D&I in companies' agendas to debating how females bring various emotions, sensitivities, better organization skills to the teams that they are hired for. And to encourage that, I would say two things that hold key for me, and I've been practicing that throughout my career is, number one, recruiting women employees actively, even for roles where we sometimes hold biases of, let's say, a role demanding odd hours of supporting clients in a different geographic location. A role which requires probably extensive travel, and I might not prefer a women colleague to be hired for because of those different phases of life that she might go through in life, right, from maternity to taking care of dependents. Emphasis should be laid on the skills and abilities of the person that they're hired for. Number two, and again a very important aspect, is providing education and training opportunities to the male colleagues or the male team members of how to handle and support women employees and colleagues in an organization. These are the two things I think which are structural and hold key and important and advancing gender equality in our daily lives and in our corporate careers.
Thank you, Megha and Vincent, for sharing all these point of views and thoughts. I hope that this discussion was useful as it was for me. If it's not already the case, I encourage you to go listen all the episodes of the Women of Power podcast to discover the journey of exceptional women who each act in their own way to create a fairer and more equal society. If you had a good time listening to this episode, let us know. You can subscribe to the podcast, give it 5 stars if you want to, and leave a comment on listening platforms.